Ahoy! Welcome back to another episode of The Captain's Log. My name's Rix Lee. I am a systems designer and a collaboration designer, and I work with leadership to navigate change and complexity. And I've started recording these little captain's logs on the Sunday evening just to reflect on my week and kind of share some of my learnings and some of the insights that I've been having throughout my week. And as I learn and as I look at the state of the world and how this is kind of impacting leadership and the need for more leadership and actually how we lead as leaders in this world. And some of the insights that I've been gathering, and especially in the last few weeks, as I kind of look into this problem and reflect on some of the experiences in my own life, I'm really starting to notice that there really is this epidemic of stress and the anxiety and kind of uh, what would I say? Like it's causing a lot of mental problems and stress for leadership as we kind of navigate this world that we're living in, and the rate of change is steadily increasing. It's exponentially increasing, and I think this is only going to go more and more and more as we keep moving through with the technological advances that are happening in this world. And so it's really validating the real need for support and community for leadership at this time. And I definitely feel that I could contribute a lot and support a lot of this leadership. So I'm really noticing that as I go. And the format for this podcast, if you haven't listened to this before, is really three things that I learned that will help me make better decisions next week, and also five things that went well. And it might sound like I'm kind of sharing very similar things each week, but as I kind of get to this problem and start looking more and more into it, I'm really noticing there is some common like themes and red threads that kind of run through all aspects of this problem. And it's really is about maintaining stability, mental health, and creating tools and resources for people to be able to integrate into their lives, and the cadence and the rhythm of their lives in order to stay steady and to kind of feel confident and comfortable. Well, maybe not comfortable, but maybe to feel more comfortable with being uncomfortable, as we traverse these waters and the constant change and complexity that we're facing as human beings on this planet today. So, if you don't already, please subscribe to the channel. That really helps me get the message out. It does help more than you would know. And hit the notification button. And I've also got these podcasts going out on Spotify. I'm still kind of trying to work out how to solve the problem of getting them out on the other platforms, but you can get this on Spotify. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Rixley, and all my social handles, which will be in the description of this podcast, whether you're listening on Spotify or YouTube. So let me get let me get into this. So the first thing that I'm learning around this challenge, right, something that I've been reflecting on deeply over this last week, is around limiting, right? So it's about limiting what comes into your life. So many things are going on around us all the time. We're getting pulled in every which way. Now, if you're listening to this, just think about it from yourself. From the moment you get up in the morning, your alarm, your text messages, your WhatsApps, your emails, meetings, schedules, calendar invites, news, like storing information, Google Drives, all this stuff that you've got going on in your life, software suites, everything, tools that you use to run your business. Now, all of these things are great. All of these tools are great. All these resources are really great. And it's quite a blessing to be in a time where we have these tools and resources where we can work remote and be mobile and do all of these things and manage our business with these great tools and softwares. However, it is also causing a problem where we're now expected to be online and working all through the day. People have access to us at all hours of the day. And this is just causing a complete overload. So what I've come to is you've got to really choose what you let into your life and be discerning about it. Now, I'm somebody who's working remote. I'm traveling. I've been in Canggu, Bali, Indonesia for a little while. So I've kind of had a base here, but I am traveling. I have a couple of suitcases and a guitar. And I have to be very careful about things that I buy, right? Because every time I buy something or take something on, I've got to carry that thing with me. I got to put it in my suitcase. And if I go over my travel limit, my weight limit, then I've got to pay to have that thing shipped with me to wherever I'm going. So before I buy something, or like I'm not the kind of person that just goes and buys stuff anyway. I have to really want something or need something to buy it. But it's a great analogy for life, because every time you take on a new thing, buy a new thing, integrate a new software suite, integrate something else, you're building up the stress because there's all these other things to manage. So my question to you really is, uh, do you really need the things that you've got with you, right? Do you really need half the stuff that you've got, whether it's in your house or your office or the tools or the softwares or any of those things, the ways that people can access you? How many of those things do you actually need? And those things that you do have, would it potentially be a wise thing to prune those back and actually limit the amount of these things in your life? I would say that it's probably not a bad idea to take a look at these things and actually, evaluate, because the more of these things that we have, the more stress that we're actually creating. These are like these little stresses that add up, that can lead to anxiety, and you are probably constantly feeling like you're obligated and you have the responsibilities to get back to all these people and to manage all of these accounts and things. So I'm really kind of working through right now is actually consolidating all this stuff in my business. I'm really being conscious about the things, the tools and the resources that I'm using. And I'm also trying to consolidate the software suites into one place, which is this second brain that I've been building and modding out, which I will actually be sharing for free on the leadership community. So if you haven't joined the leadership community, I would definitely recommend, or I would like to quarterly invite you to sign up to the leadership. And the link will be in the description below this podcast, because I will be giving out this second brain template and putting some videos of actually how to use it. But yeah, just think about it. Do you really need all these things? And could you potentially do some pruning of the software suites and the things that you've got? The second thing is to make your well-being your number one priority. Now, Paul Chek says it best, I think. He says, sooner or later, your health will become your number one concern. And there's a lot in that, right? Because your health is going to become your number one concern, whether you like it or not. So I'm sure you would agree that it would be better to make your health your number one concern by choice. Because if you keep running the way that you're running and you keep going at the pace that you're going, then you're actually going to lead yourself to burnout, and you're going to lead yourself to a position where that concern, your health being your number one concern, is going to be forced upon you. And that's not the ideal situation, right? So you're better off to choose your health as your number one priority, make it your number one concern now. I think, to me, that means, like, what the changes that I've made in my life is that I've really invested in my health. I've invested in my well-being. I've invested in training, making sure I'm staying hydrated, getting good sleep, getting in the sun, saying no to more things, making more space for myself. And it's actually paying dividends. I feel a lot more better in myself. I feel like I have more capacity to take on more. I can help more people. And it's just completely changed my mental state and my life, and the way that I can actually navigate through life. And so if you don't have a health practice, or you're not focused on your health, is there a reason why? Are you saying that you're too busy for that? Is it something that you're putting off to do later? Often we put these things off to do later, to do later, to do later. Next thing you know, like I was a year ago, I was completely swollen, full of cortisol, was 10 kilos heavier than I am now, had no muscle mass. My posture was terrible. My mental state wasn't great. I was feeling depressed and super, super stressed. And I was causing that stress to myself. So I went through a lot of change last year. I've had a lot of things going, not by my choice. And sometimes, you might find yourself in that predicament. But that was actually a blessing to me because I've radically changed my lifestyle and changed my life. Now in my day, I spend a lot of time uh, looking after myself, eating well, hydrating. I hit the sauna, detoxing. I'm taking care of my health. I'm taking care of who I'm actually spending time with. That was another point on the limit part, which is like, who are the people that you're spending time with? Because I'd start cutting some of this stuff out. If you're hanging out with people as well that don't make you feel good, and you've got obligations to hang out with people that you don't really feel like hanging out with, and you don't feel good after hanging out with them, don't hang out with them. You can be polite and excuse yourself, but I really feel like limiting these negative aspects around you and all this responsibility and obligation is going to give you headspace to actually take care of yourself. Just excuse me, just got a cough here for a sec. Excuse me, I'm still recovering from this little lurgy that was going around the gym. I'm pretty sure it was COVID. So what kind of quality of life do you want to live? And it's a long game. Right? And I would prefer to build a business that was sustainable and allowed me to live my life in the best expression of myself, and build my business slower and not compromise my health. And have you potentially build up too many responsibilities and obligations that it's actually not allowing you space to, take care of yourself properly? And I also know that, like, when I was super stressed and I wasn't taking care of myself, I was actually craving to eat bad food, or I'd want to go and have a beer, or do these things that kind of would just add to that stressor, add to the cortisol, add to that stuff. And it might sound like, yeah, okay, that's all very good, well and good. You're living in Bali and you're running your business from Bali, but you know what? Like, I'm not going back to that other way of doing business, no matter where I am. I'm going to have boundaries around that. There's no going back for me. For me now, my health and my health routine and things that I do to actually take care of myself are part of my business. They're part of my life. That's just part of the way that's just how I do things now. That's my ethos. That's the baseline. So I do ask you, are you taking care of yourself? Are you making excuses about getting to the gym, or taking that walk, or drinking enough water, or doing any of those things that actually will look after you? Because I would make excuses about this stuff too. I would, feel sometimes like I was not feeling great, and then what I wanted to do was just go and de-stress and go and sit and have a beer or a few beers and actually de-stress that way, which is not healthy. So where can you make space? What are the things that you can actually cut out or limit that are going to make space to do the healthy things that are going to help you to create even more space and actually create a more holistic life where you can actually work on your business and do it in a healthy, sustainable way? The third thing is, we can't change the state of the world, but we can change how we respond to it. Okay? The stresses that are going on around us, and this is geopolitical stuff, it's economic stuff, it's your business, it's your life, it's things that just, when life just pops up and something appears that you kind of have to navigate. You can't change that stuff. That stuff is going to happen regardless. But what you can change is actually how you respond to it. And how you do that is through building up resources and tools and community and support network for you to be able to navigate that change, those things. Because the stress doesn't actually come from the thing that happened. The stress is actually happening from your internal world of how you're actually dealing with that stressor. And this has been a really big lesson for me this last year. And I've been really working on building up these tools and resources within myself. And I've been helping other people through this stuff too. And now I've got a pretty good solid toolkit. And I think I mentioned last week about coming back to these anchors, these anchors that I keep in my day and my routine, that keep me stabilized and keep me anchored in positivity, that keep me anchored in a healthy mindset, healthy body. And those things really, really do help. And a lot of the time, people say, oh, you need to de-stress, like go and meditate or go on a holiday or, but that's not what I'm talking about here. Like, yeah, sure, maybe a meditation practice is good if it's part of your regular practice. But what I'm really talking about here is a lifestyle change where you're actually integrating these things into your day-to-day rhythm. Because you living a really stressful life and working on your business and just grinding and then going on a holiday is not going to solve the problem long term. Okay, it's not going to solve the problem short term anyway. So it's really about changing your lifestyle. And the reality is, when you do have the space, when you do make the space, that's when you're going to get your best ideas, and that's when you're going to make the biggest difference in your business. That's why when I would run strategic retreats with teams, we would take them to we take them to a place for a week, an Airbnb or something, and we work on a project outside the business as usual in a nice, relaxed setting environment. Because that's when your nervous system can calm, and that's when you get your best ideas, and that's when you can do less work and create more value. So it's actually gonna help you a lot. And we're living in times where things are going to get more and more stressful in the world around us as we go. And we need to build that muscle to be able to build our capacity and capability to deal with that stress. So that's a lot of what we're going to be doing in the leadership, is actually working on this stuff. We're going to be working on strategy and business stuff and co-design stuff and transformation stuff. But a lot of it, the stuff that we're going to be doing is around creating tools and resources for people to be able to navigate change and to be able to deal with these stresses in a way where you're actually not stressed. Stress is a serious, it's a killer, guys. Like if you see what cortisol does to your body, like it's terrible. It's terrible. These are like really really bad chemicals. 5 things that went well. Well, this week I took a little bit of rest. I've kind of been recovering from this like little lurgy COVID thing, as I mentioned. And so like I've just been resting. One day I slept like 16 hours. Another day, like today, I slept till like 1 o'clock. And normally I would have felt really guilty around taking all this time to just kind of relax and regenerate. But I'm getting better at this. I'm letting myself take the time. I'm listening to my body. And I'm letting myself, actually get into a relaxed state and just kind of like helping myself to kind of heal from this little lurgy thing. So that's one thing. The next thing is I created this next iteration of the second brain. So I've integrated some stuff in there, which is pretty cool. I've added my Readwise. I've also added in a content workflow with some templates, which is pretty cool. And I've also finally I've worked out the hookup from Fathom to Notion. So now I'm getting all my tasks coming through automatically, my action items on my task inbox. And I onboarded my client Graham onto this second brain too, and he's just like, "Whoa, this is like super cool. I love it. It's gangster." And I'm going to give this second brain template away in the leadership community. So definitely get on board for that. The third thing is, it's been really cool. I've been making some really cool friends around Bali, Canggu. It's been awesome to kind of connect and build a friendship group. I mean, when you're traveling, it's it's difficult to do that. I think a lot of expats also don't want to be friends with you when you're somebody that's like leaving, because it's just like an investment in a relationship that person's going to end up leaving. So that's kind of been challenging for me as I've gone through this traveling digital nomadic life that I've kind of been living. But it's really nice to connect with people who are also really driven and working on their businesses and actually really prioritize their health and their wellness. The other thing is I'm getting a lot clearer about, who the people are that I'm helping in the leadership, because through looking at this problem and kind of seeing who's actually being impacted by this complexity and this rapid change. And I mean, everybody is, but there's a real particular person out there that I think I can really, really, really support and help. And I'm just really getting really clear about this. And I'm really excited about building this leadership community. I sent out my first newsletter last week or this week. If you are watching and you're part of the leadership already, you would have got it. And I'll be sending those out. Excuse me. I'll probably send another one out next week. And the next thing is it's coming to the end of the year and I'm making plans for the next few months. And I cannot remember the last time I got to the end of the year and I wasn't stressed. Usually that time of year is quite stressful for me. And Christmas time and everything for me has always been very a lonely time and a stressful time. But this year it's just not like that. I've kind of set myself up. I'm in a different financial situation. I'm in a very different emotional state. I'm feeling good, and I've got plans. I've got time and resources to actually make plans about my end of year. So I've made some great decisions this year. That's kind of put me in a very different situation. This coming to the end of the year, and that's epic because I just I can't remember the last time I'd actually felt like this towards the end of the year. So for any of you out there as well, like, coming up to the end of the Christmas or the end of the year and Christmas and all that, like now is October. Are you making any plans? How are you feeling about the end of the year? I know probably Christmas is a stressful time for a lot of people. It can also be quite an emotional time for a lot of people. So are you making plans? What's happening for Christmas? And don't leave it too late because it's now October and that end of year is going to be coming up pretty quickly. And the year has gone so fast. I can't believe it. I remember New Year's Eve like it was yesterday. Wild, huh? So that's it for this episode of the Captain's Log, just a short one. I've got a little bit of a sore throat today, so I'm going to keep it brief. But if you don't already, like and subscribe. Sign up to the leadership, link in the description. I am going to be opening it up soon. I'm just trying to get the first modules, and I want to get this second brain ready so I can get that on there for the first kind of module for the leadership. And follow me on X at Captain Rixley. I think all my links will be down there in the bottom of the description. And if you got any questions, or if you want to, ask anything, or if you got any ideas for a topic that I could discuss in another episode of the Captain's Log, then please do let me know. And other than that, guys, smooth sailing, and have a great week, and have a think about some of those things. Pay attention to what's going on in your week. Are there things that you can prune? What's actually stressing you out? What's taking up your mental capacity? And is there potentially some things that you can cut back on? Say no to. Shock horror. It does feel good, though. It does feel good. But anyway, I'll catch you next week. Hold fast.